Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. This is Joe Shoup with our administrator, our manager, Shirley Pitts, and our special guest, Roland Roberts. Good morning, Shirley. Good morning, Roland.
Good morning. It's good to hear from you.
Afternoon.
Good morning, Roland. Good morning, Joe.
And good afternoon to the East Coast. And anyway, well, we're going to get started right away. And Mark Stevens, good morning, my friend, my partner and business trainer for me. Mark, good morning.
Peace and blessings. How are you?
I am doing fantastic and amazing. And
Great.
I can't tell you how many people yesterday I made smile while I was out when they asked me how I was doing.
I tell you, it's good all the time. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it makes a lot of people's day. A lot of them are just shocked. They never heard it like that.
I know. Everybody always says, well, that's a heck of a good outlook in life. I said, well, that's what it's like every day. Little do they know, Shirley, that I complain to her every day about my headaches. All right, we're going to get started right away. I'm going to have a slide presentation here in a second, and I sent out that notice about the problems in networking, the problems in business. The number hasn't changed. We still have over 90%, 95 to 97% of the people that are struggling and wondering why they're not successful. And then people have all these reasons why. The industry tells us, the uplines tell us, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. It's because you're not calling enough people. You got to make contacts. You got to buy leads. We all know that those things are important. I mean, we know they're important. But I had a really, really good friend of mine yesterday. I don't know if she's on the call or whatever, but we talked about this because she's been through a communication class with me, and she said to me, Joe, if I gave you a horse, would you know how to ride it? And my answer would be yes, because I ride horses and I've been riding my whole life. So I understand that. But if you ask the average person that has no experience with riding a horse, and you said, I'm going to give you a horse, would they know what to do with it? It's really wonderful that you have a horse in your yard now and in your barn and out in the pasture. But if you wanted to ride it, would you know how? And I'll tell you right now, it's pretty darn dangerous. If you don't know how and you get on a horse, you're going to have some serious problems. Not as easy as it looks. And that brings us to the same problem here. You can give people all the leads you want. You can tell them where to go to find people. You can give out postcards, business cards, send emails, send letters. But you better know the next step. And so I'm going to bring up a presentation. And let me see if I can get this up here. I want you to think about something, and you don't have to put this on the screen and write in here. But write it on a piece of paper, or at least mentally write this down. And I am not talking about politics here. Only to my friends do we discuss politics. I'm not trying to be political here, but I'm going to make a few statements because it has to do with us in business. So can you identify why our new president-elect won the election? Answer that to yourself. I mean, if you want to put it on paper and put it on the screen, go ahead. But I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you to ask yourself that question. Why in the world did that happen? How did it happen? And I'm pretty sure I know the answer to it. I watched all the elections. I watched all the debates. And I could see a clear path. And I think a lot of people could. And obviously half the country didn't. So while I get this ready and bring this up, let's go ahead and maybe think about that. That's something you really should be thinking about. So let me go share my screen. Let's see, share entire screen. Go ahead and share. And then here, let's do that. Shirley, can you see my screen? Shirley?
I don't hear Shirley, but it's there, Joe.
Okay, buddy. Shirley, we lost you. How about you, Roland? You still there?
Oh, she's muted.
Yes, I can see it.
Shirley is muted. Okay, there she is.
Okay, yes, I saw you. Yes, I see your screen.
Okay, good. Let's go to this. Let's go. I don't know why I keep getting this little message from Windows, but I keep getting it. So let's take a look at something here. Because the reason that our new president-elect won this is because he ran it like a business. I listened to a couple comments the other day, and a couple of people stated that he understood the process and he surrounded himself with people who understood business. And if you listen to what happened, you can hear the things that they did business-wise that made sense. So I thought, let's look up and see what business means. I believe that's why he won, Mark. I think that it was a business, they were business decisions. And he knew where he had to go, what he had to do. And it wasn't just him, because he wasn't smart enough to figure all that out. He put the right people around him. And so let's take a look what Marion says about what business is. It's the activity of making, buying, or selling goods or providing services in exchange for money. Everybody knows that. Work, that's part of a job. But look at this next one. The amount of activity that is done by a store, company, factory, or individual. Let's look at it again. The amount of activity that is done. Problem in our business is people aren't looking at this like a business. That's part of the problem. So let's take a look at it. If you wanted to truly look at how to be successful in this industry, it starts with that activity that we just saw. It's the amount of activity. How many emails did you send out today? Yesterday? Every day? Any day? The days that you work? How many of those did you communicate to people? What did you send them? We have an email that can go out and move a product called Zip & Store. How many new friends did you acquire on Facebook? How many new phone calls did you make? How many follow-up calls did you make on your appointments? How many appointments did you actually make? For those that have saw these new postcards, how many of those did you hand out? Hand out while you were out. How many did you send out in the mail? That's what they are. They're postcards. How many three-way calls did you make with a director that you brought a prospect to? How many three-way calls did you do for one of your community members? See, these are activities that create income. I mean, we could list a lot more here, but this is the foundation. It starts with daily activities. And that means if you're going to build a business, then you've got to run this like a business. You have to answer these questions. This is our goal for those people that understand communication. Roland, Mark, Shirley, Andrea. I could go through 50 people right here that understand what it takes to run a business now. But let's go back to what Shelley told me yesterday. If I gave you a horse, would you know how to ride it? So just because you made the phone call, we asked that. How many phone calls? How many emails? How many did you hand out? How many postcards? That isn't enough to just send out those postcards. This industry has taught us to do more activity. That's all the answers I ever hear from leaders. More activity. You're not calling enough. You're not doing enough. The problem is you're not communicating properly with those people that you attract. Our goal is to get you to see this through our eyes. Mark, I'm going to just turn this over to you for a few minutes about looking at this through our eyes. This is a businessman who understands communication and knows how to talk properly when someone looks at his information. So, Mark, I'm just going to give you some words in there, and we'll go over to Roland.
Okay, well, like you're saying, most people in this industry, believe it or not, and that's why we have this 97% problem, treats their business like a hobby. And so you can't do that, because if you know, what do people do in essence to their hobbies? They work their hobbies just sort of like when they feel like it. Well, guess what? If you open a shoe store, are you going to open it once a week, twice a week, or 3 times a week? No, by all means, you're not going to do that. You're going to open that shoe store every day. If if your store is open at least 6 days a week, you're going to open it 6 days a week. And what are you going to continually do? You're going to continually advertise. You're going to continually have promotions. You're going to continually have sales. You're going to continually market, which is what we do to get our information in front of people. That's the only way that business is going to be successful. You can't do a hobby like that, because it's not the same thing. Now, the thing you have to ask yourself, again, is that, do I have a business or do I have a hobby? Okay, if I have a business, do I know how to run that business? Do I know how to, talk to my customer? Do I know how to treat that customer? Do I know how to train my employees? In other words, are we just a group of people, or are we a team? Well, you have a team. Why? Because with a team, everybody working together achieves more. The business grows. We make money. We pay better wages. All those things you have to take in consideration in running a business. Do we advertise? Newspaper, radio, TV. We have postcards. As you say, are we doing all of those things that are necessary? Do we know the right language to talk to our customer? Do we know the right language to bring more customers in? Is the perception that we're giving our customers, is it making sense? What we say, how we say it. We again, terminology and perception, it has to make sense. So when you take all those things into consideration, it's very simple and very simple to understand. Are you running a business, or are you, having a hobby? It's really that simple, Joe.
Yeah, and Mark, what would happen if you owned that shoe store and you brought a new person in, and this new person, Bob, comes in the store and he doesn't know anything about shoes. He doesn't know how to run the register. He doesn't know where the shoes are. He doesn't know how to measure someone. And how in the world could you walk away and depend on this new person?
You can't
who didn't know his job?
You can't do it. Everything comes with instructions. When you buy a vacuum cleaner, when you buy a car, whatever you buy, generally it comes with instructions. So when you hire that employee, you have to give that person instructions right away. That's the first thing you have to do. In other words, you have to educate him. And the way you educate him is through instructions. You may have a booklet, a pamphlet, a training module, or whatever, but you have to have that. Other than that, that employee is not going to be successful.
Very well put, my friend. I love this picture because I'm a horse person to begin with, but there's the question that Shelley asked me. If they gave you a horse, would you know how to ride it? Would you truly know what to do?
Well, you just put up the standard. That's the standard right there. I remember that one. That's the standard right there.
So what we need to do, Mark, is get people to see this through our eyes. Not just hear this talk today and say, wow, they sounded good, and yeah, it all sounds good, but to really give the instructions you're talking about. How do you give them the instruction? What do you do with that? How do you take a new person who's never been successful in this industry and say, well, here's how? We're going to see that in a few minutes. Here's the major problem in this industry. How one speaks to, communicates with, answers questions, sets appointments, follows up with registers their new partner or community member, and finally gets their new member started properly. And this all starts with communication. Mark just said it. It's all about that instruction on all of these areas here. I don't care what program we give people for leads. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you handed them people that filled out information and said, I'm really looking for a home business. Who in the world would turn that lead over to someone who didn't know what to do, didn't know how to communicate or answer any of the questions, or know that the objective when they talk to them is to set an appointment or to move them to a director? How would they, we don't instruct these people, how in the world would we get them to understand what success was? Roland, why don't you jump in here a minute? This is a successful businessman. Again, you know, we surround ourselves with people who have been successful in not just networking, but in the standard brick and mortar business. And this is a guy who has a great team of people around him, who won the contest last month, who knows how to communicate with people. He knows how to follow instructions. And, you know, Roland, how do you see this problem? I mean, I just talked about it, obviously, but let's talk about what you see here as well.
Well, most people, whenever they get a job, the first thing that they do is go through training. Some people do a whole week training before that person even starts. So I went to a store recently, and there was a new guy there. I see he's working there. When I asked him for some help, he let me know that this is his first day and he's just observing, training. So someone have to get some training. A lot of times people in the beginning, they're uncomfortable doing things, but as they start doing it and doing it over and over, they become comfortable. So it's important that they are trained not only to know the company itself, the business that they're affiliated with, but also in approaching people, how to get over the fear of failure, because talking to people sometimes you'll be scared of getting rejection, but you'll have to get accustomed to rejection. And after you get accustomed to rejection, rejection don't really matter no more, because you know that's what you have to do. And then again, somebody have to have a desire for the business, whatever they want to do. And if they do not have the desire, then they have to find something else.
How many of the people, Roland, that last month during that contest did I meet? How many people?
I think I think I signed up maybe 11, 12 people or whatever. I think I had to talk to everybody that I contacted, everybody that I spoke to.
Yes, I spoke to everyone, because there's that last thing, finally get their new person started properly, because every person, all 13, 14 people that he personally influenced last month, I met every one. And guess what? Half of them took a communication class to learn what we're talking about today. Half of them. Maybe more. Maybe more did. I don't know the number. I know most of them did. But that's that second part of finally getting their new person started properly. We have a website called welcometokulaBrands.com. It's approved by the company, but it's one that we created here on this team. We put it together to help people get started properly. It shows them. It first welcomes them, and then it instructs them on how to go to their back office, how to get familiar with it, and then what should I do first? Well, right away you could send an email that we created. It's right on there that introduces people to the new product, or you can change it and get them interested in the opportunity. But either way, it gets them started properly. Now, let's take a look if we have an issue, exactly what we need to do to fix the problem, fix that issue. Yesterday, I listened to Herman Cain. This is one of the most successful pizza owners. I think it's Godfather's Pizza. I think he sold it all out now, ran for president the last time. And he talked about problem solving yesterday. And this is what he said. Problem solvers understand how to dissect the problem into pieces, how to prioritize the pieces, and then start solving those pieces. What we're talking about here today, to see this through our eyes, is to dissect the problem right into pieces. What is the problem? Well, the problem is I'm not building enough. I'm not growing enough. If you are one of the people who want to grow a business, then you've got to do things that help it grow. So what's the problem? Why are you not growing the business? That you have to dissect that problem. You got to come up with the why of that. And then take the pieces of that why and prioritize them. What is most important here? And we think we have the answer because we think that when we prioritize, that communication seems to be the common denominator to the unsuccessful statistics that we see in this business. We see it as communication, unable to talk to people effectively, to move them forward, not to be the big shot who knows it all, but to know how to move the person to another person who does know, or to the registration process. 98% of the time, it should be moving them to someone you trust that can talk about this business within 5 to 10 minutes, effectively move that person to registration, or find out if we're truly a match. May not be. And then the final part of that problem solving is to solve. To solve the problem. How? Well, if you're not sending enough emails, maybe you should. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, really? Maybe it doesn't work because maybe they're not opening it. People who look, Mark said it earlier, marketing is what you do to get information in front of people. We're creating more and more ways to get our information in front of people. We have a new gentleman aboard that talked Thursday night about effective ways to get in front of people. That's what we have to do. But I can tell you now, you better be prepared when you get in front of those people. And they're going to ask you, are you making enough money? Are you making any money? How long have you been with the company? This sounds like networking. It sounds like a pyramid to me. You better know how to do that. If not, you're going to end up in the same place. So ask yourself this question. What was your goal when you started your business? When you said, I am in, what was your goal? In other words, how much money did you want to make on a monthly basis to make it worth your time? When did you want to start making that? Now, we know at Kula Brands that this is a long-term project. This is not get rich quick. This is a project. We understand. I won't go through all the process today. That's not our goal. But for those of you in Kula Brands, understanding it is that we know this is the long term. We know that. You have to be willing to put your toe in and then learn the process and finally completely in. In time, as we grow, as the royalties are being paid, we're going to be getting paid on many, many, many products and getting royalties for the lifetime of that product. But what was your goal when you started, when you first heard about the business? Now ask yourself, where are you now? And when you ask, where are you now? And maybe there's a sub to that, why are you where you are now? How many people have you personally influenced? This is a serious question. If you're building a business, you can't expect to influence one other person and that's going to build the business. You must continue to put information in front of people and personally influence. If you just did one person every 4 weeks, you personally influence them over time. If you taught the same process, you would be successful as well. Everybody would. If you just focused on one, look, you can't do zero. That's no work at all. The least you should do is one person. That's the least. How many of those people are helping to build? In other words, once the person is registered, are they going to be a builder or just someone who pledges on products and maybe does a little marketing? Are they serious about building? You have to identify who they are. We have a questionnaire on welcometokulaBrands.com, and it identifies that answer right there. It helps them. You understand who they are. How many people have those people influenced? Those who want to build. How many? How often are you speaking to those personally influenced people? The way you're going to get those answers is you got to be speaking to them. And then, as Roland said, how do you get that new person started? How do you get new people started? Well, we have it. Welcome to coolerbrands.com. That's at least a start. And then, of course, you have your back office with videos and so on, and Facebook training and Twitter and so on. And one thing I've learned in this campaign, this presidential campaign of the newly anointed, elected president, is that social media is a powerful tool. It's one of the other reasons that he actually won the campaign, Mark. He understood that Twitter, and noticed that it was mostly Twitter that he was doing, tweeting, and he reached 28 million people. Now, we're not going to get to that many people, obviously. But I do believe that for some of us, we're missing that. So Shirley, I want you to undo your microphone. We're at the tail end here.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
I want you to talk about where you were communication-wise a year ago and where you are today. What a year ago when you, in fact, I remember talking to you more than a year ago, and it was in another company. It wasn't here, obviously, Cooler Brands. And I remember talking to you while you were making some calls and so on. But I know she has taken the communication class a couple of times. I just want to know, I want people to know. I know the answer to this. I brag about you all the time, where you've got, where you were and where you are now. So why don't you talk about that and the confidence that these things have given you?
Well, a year ago, I couldn't talk to anybody. Not even, well, especially not friends. I could barely get it out if I didn't know the person or didn't see the person. And now I still have trouble talking to people, but I can fumble through it, and sometimes if I fumble through it, they'll either understand or they won't, and at least then I can go on to another person. But it's much easier now, and I have the cheat sheet, so to speak, that from the communication class that I can look at and read off of, and it sometimes it works. But I can get out in public now and hand out the postcards and ask people if they would at least, just take a look and see what we're doing. And I can talk a lot better. Like this is hard too. But at least I got the courage that I can do it.
That was the point I was getting at. A year ago, where is the fear level 1 year ago versus today?
1 year ago it was 100, and today it's about 50.
Good. So, look, no, this is honest communication. Now, here's a person who, you don't just take this class and all of a sudden, you're an expert. You have to keep working at it.
And I am not an outgoing person.
Yeah. And here she is, not being able to talk at all, to wiping out 50% of that fear. And the rest of that's just going to disappear as she continues to be confident when someone, and the whole problem with fear is not knowing what's going to happen. That's the fear. I mean, that's the fear of the unknown. That's always that way. But once you get it down completely, that all the answers just flow, then there's no more fear. There's no more fear at all. So that's really, this is the progress of somebody without having a program like this. She's not going to talk to anybody. There's no chance of success without this. So, Mark, I wanted you to finish up about that fear, because I know I can tell you this, that Mark is a absolute expert. There is zero fear in Mark talking to anyone on this planet about Cooler Brands or any product, any company for that matter, because Mark understands the communication that took place. And before we do that, Mark, let me just go back to Roland. Roland, I just want you to say a few words before we go. We got about 2 minutes to end this, and I just want to thank you for being part of this team and introducing me to your people, and I'm building relationships with those people, and we're going to see Roland out here for the convention in March, so I'm excited about that. So Roland, why don't you just finish up with something? We'll get over to Mark, close up, and we'll be good.
Well, basically, it's plugging into the system, overcoming fear, and taking action. Because I mean, you could know something, but if you take no action, you get no results. So taking action is the main thing. Continue building your list, continue meeting people, follow up, do presentations, get results. That's it.
Okay, my friend Mark, thanks, Roland. And he's right, you got to take action. You know, nothing's going to happen without action. But so I want to thank everybody for being here and turn over to my partner, Mark Stevens. And thanks again, Mark.
Okay, let me just share a couple of things right quick before we leave. When you talk about fear, when you know the definition of fear, some people may know it, some people may not. Fear, false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. Now, here's something this is something that a lot of people do fear. And I'm going to share this with everybody. And their fear is being poor. That's a lot of people's fear in this country. Matter of fact, in this world. Now, being poor. Poor simply means passing over opportunities repeatedly. P-O-O-R. And that's what a lot of people do. And the reason that they pass over opportunities repeatedly is because they don't know how to take advantage of it. And again, not only in the class where you learn who you are, but you'll learn how to take advantage of opportunities. Because there's a difference in being poor, being broke, and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic situation, which means you can overcome it. But being poor is a disabling frame of mind and also a distressed condition of the spirit. So we must vow never to be poor again. So one way of not being poor is taking advantage of what? Of opportunity. So when you think about those two things I just shared with you, just think about that and share that with other people, because that's what people today are looking for. They're looking for opportunity. They're looking not to become poor because it's a disabling frame of mind. So if you think about that and share this opportunity that we have with as many people as you can, you will help a lot of people, not just in your community, not just in your state, not just in your country, but in the world, because we have an opportunity that we can eventually share with the world, because this product that we have is a phenomenal product. So with that being said, I'll leave that with you to think about. And if I'm not mistaken, this is part one of what we are sharing. And don't miss part two, because it just gets better. So with that being said, peace and blessings to everyone. Go out, make it a great Cooler Brand Day, Cooler Brand Week, Cooler Brand Month, and share this product with as many people as you can. But know what you're doing, know how to do it. The instructions are there, and let's take advantage of that. So, Joe, I will connect back with you a little bit later because I have to run, but it was a great information as usual, and people take advantage of it. And like the Nike commercial says, just do it. It's that simple. Just do it, and it'll make a difference. So that being said, go out and make it a great day. Peace and blessings, everyone. And we will see you back here next week for part two on The Breakfast Club. Peace and blessings, everyone.